Back from the dead.
Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to the podcast. It is yours truly, Krystal. This is the Ghost Girl Diaries podcast and a paranormal podcast for those of you that are brave enough to join the circle. And I missed you guys. I actually did record a podcast last week that went live for like 15 minutes. And then I got a notification that the file was corrupt. So I tried to export it, re-upload it, and it's a mess. And the audio on it sounded kind of fuzzy. So I'm kind of glad that the universe did that for me. So I'm going to re-record that podcast next week. Sort of what my plan is right now is every other week I'm going to come on solo and give you guys kind of, I feel like my solo podcasts are going to be a little bit more on the serious side, which is why today I'm bringing in Cat. And I'm going to welcome in my co-host today, Cat Cormier. Hi, Miss Cat. How a long time no see ya.
Hello. It's been so long. It's been too long.
The amount of money I would have if people would give me a quarter for these two things. Did Cat quit? Is she still around? And did you quit ghost hunting, for God's sake?
No. We just have to life, you know?
Yeah.
We're doing the human thing.
Exactly. Please stop asking me if I quit ghost hunting. Everyone's like, you're doing paranormal and like that was your thing, and now you're doing makeup and fashion, so you're quitting. And I'm like, no, that I'm actually doing fashion and makeup to afford my paranormal, right? Like, because even it's
true.
Expensive, isn't it?
It's very expensive, and it's very time consuming.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've got to have a good balance between work and play, you know, and while the social media influencer is work, it's still fun,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I think it's just nice to have a little balance. No one's going anywhere. We're here.
No.
Existing.
This is proof right now that Kat's alive and she's right here.
Yes.
And everything's fine. And everything's fine, guys, okay?
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Everything's great.
We have some fun chats to talk about today. And first of all, how's 2023? Haven't seen you in a while. Like, what's going on? You've been busy. Life's good. You've done a few musicals. You're in another musical. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So I'm in Sound of Music right now as Mother Abbess of all people, the head nun in the Abbey. I mean, never thought that I'd ever see that.
With your two full sleeves nun over here.
Two full sleeves. It was hilarious. Walking into that rehearsal was just hilarious because I didn't know a lot of the people. I do now, but you know, what was it, a month ago or something? I walked into rehearsal and everyone's like, Mother Abbess, because if you're familiar with Sound of Music, she sings Climb Every Mountain, which is a really well-known piece at the end of Act 1 in Sound of Music. And it's funny, the stereotypes that people will make, you know, if you have piercings or tattoos, you can't be taken seriously at all. You're not professional. You can't sing opera. You can't do this. And then I prove them wrong. So
Right.
It's a good feeling.
I wish everyone could hear Kat sing, but like her full blast, because like she does give little like peaks and snippets here and there, but like if you heard her sing, and I feel like I've listened to some of your stuff on YouTube, even that versus in person like doesn't compare. Like my old house, I had cathedral ceilings, and every time she'd come in town, she's like, just like, let it rip.
I sang an aria for you guys. I'm pretty sure I sang an aria.
Yeah, it was so good. Oh my God.
It's so funny. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, she's been blessed with an amazing gift, and your parents were both opera singers, and just what a hereditary gift. I want that, you know?
So random, right? Just
amazing.
Out of the blue. Yeah, I love it.
So we have some fun topics today. Well, fun and controversial, I guess, but that's something we don't ever steer away from, you know what I mean? But there's a few interesting other things going on. Just for like notes, I feel like we could kind of touch on that's going on. First of all, there was a mortician that was recently arrested from Harvard. Harvard like the elite school, right? And he was basically selling on the black market body parts from cadavers, which is crazy because also not only do people donate their bodies to science, but sometimes you can donate a body to science so that you can get the cremation done for free. So some people that can't afford, to like have their parents cremated or whatever, they'll donate their parents' body to science. Yeah, you might want to rethink that because they're selling body parts on the black market. This guy had this huge, but I guess you don't think of being connected to Harvard, an elite school like that. You would think that there would be some morals in place, but clearly the morals flew out the dead body door. You know what I'm saying?
You want to talk about morals, look at the Catholic Church.
Here she goes. Oh, she's back, everybody. Welcome, Cat Cormier. She's back on her soapbox and she's ready to roll.
Okay, I know I'm playing Mother Abbess, okay, but there's just, it's got some things to talk about.
I know. Well, that's the worst part about organized religion is just all, these secretive things, and they get nonprofits and they hide the money, and that's why I don't agree with organized religion 100%. But yeah, the Harvard, this guy was selling body parts, and there was like a whole string of people that were connected to it. And another guy was, he was like a modern day Ed Gein. He was in Pennsylvania buying skin from this mortician, and he was making like belts and lamps out of it. Isn't that gross?
Belts?
Oh yeah, he was making.
Oh my gosh.
He was literally and if you see his picture, if you Google it, he looks like an interesting person. His eyeballs are tattooed.
What's his name?
I don't know. Thank God I don't know his name. I would rather not know his name, but he is his head's tattooed, his ears are his eyeballs are tattooed. Like he looks like Ed Gein reincarnated, honestly, if Ed Gein would have done that. So it was scary. Then there was another one. Did you find it?
No, I typed, okay, my Google history is going to look a little strange, but I wrote, guy who makes belts out of skin, and Ed Gein.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. Sorry,
anyway, go on.
And then there was another woman that was apparently she collects human body parts on the block, and she was, what's wrong with everybody? Y'all are scared of hell? I'm scared of this planet is what I'm scared of, honestly.
I'm scared of Earth. I'm scared of y'all.
I'm scared of humans, okay? Like, woo! I'm not scared of hell. I'm scared of humans.
It's
woo!
Not cute. Y'all need to go therapy. Okay, so what really needs to happen?
Y'all need some y'all need some intense shadow work, okay? Like, what's going on here? Woo!
I'm concerned.
Talk about some karma y'all are gonna have to pay back when you go home. Woo! Some in debt.
I don't know. I would not want to meet my maker if I was them.
No.
For sure.
Fallout Boy dropped a banger. I mean, I know you were Miss Emo over here. Kat was hardcore emo. I was more like punk girl. But Fallout Boy dropped a new song. The We Didn't Start the Fire. But have you heard it? Oh, it's good.
Yes,
it's good. It is.
Fallout Boy does that.
Basically, and the reason I wanted to talk about it is, it's for the millennials of like what we've gone through of our life. And when I'm listening to it, I'm like, no wonder we're all traumatized.
Literally. You're like, wow, this brings back all the memories.
All the bad memories, and you turned it into a bop. It's pretty bad. We're all like, yeah, da 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 da. We're all like jamming out to the songs, jamming out to our trauma. Yeah, literally. So anyway, if you haven't heard it, it's a new song by Fall Out Boy. It's so good, so good. There's a new movie. Now, this is on my producer's side. As you guys know, I worked in film. Well, I still do, obviously, but I mean, not as active. So I still have a lot of friends. I'm in group chats with my friends out of LA that are producers. And they've been really talking about this new film that dropped with Mel Gibson. And it's called The Sound of Freedom. I don't know if you've heard about it. It's about human trafficking, child sex trafficking.
I've had a couple people tell me to watch it.
Yes.
That it was really good.
So it
really
is. Good. Yeah. So it's interesting. The producer side of it, if you get a chance to go see it, apparently it's been done. It's been completed for like 4 or 5 years. I didn't know that. And wow. There's a lot of, if you want to call it conspiracy theories, but I think it's true after Epstein came out, the Epstein Island, like everyone said that was a conspiracy till it was actually not, you know what I mean? Suddenly now I personally just don't trust anybody, you know what I mean?
Also same.
Yeah.
Mood.
But,
every day.
Yeah, literally. But this, apparently when Mel Gibson was doing this movie, which was done in very like tasteful fashion, Apparently they've had a lot of loops to jump through because a lot of people in Hollywood are known to be involved with this trafficking ring, sex child trafficking, and apparently they didn't want him to release it, so that's what took so long to get it out there. Because essentially, if you bring awareness to a problem like this, of course the people, it really is that idea of like lambs against the wolves, right? Like, the wolves are trying to run all of us and we're in lamb's clothing, but there's more of us. And if we all stood up together against the corruption, we could probably end it, right? Like if there's more awareness brought to it, they're saying that sex slavery and especially child slavery, it's worse than the slave epidemic that happened in the 1800s. There is more people that are being enslaved for sex slavery than ever before in the United States, which is just shocking and scary. It's horrible. So Mel Gibson was like, we bring awareness to this. Well, here's the kicker. When they got it done and they started editing it, and once again, I know this because my production friends who are in LA, they obviously know all the ins and outs because they're heavily involved with the industry of film. They basically wanted to stop it from being released. So none of the big media is reporting on this movie. They were trying to get it to fail, essentially, and Mel Gibson paid for it completely. It made $10 million in one day. Yesterday was the first day of the release. Made $10 million, which is huge, especially for not having any major media coverage. Apparently, they're saying, especially politicians are known for being involved with the slavery process of this, that they don't want, people to know what's going on. They don't want people to know the truth. And it's only, apparently, even the movie theaters only contracted with Mel Gibson to have it on the 4th, 5th, and 6th because the movie theaters are also in cahoots with some of these really big elites that are known for being involved with this. Yeah. So anyway, now that it made $10 million, they think they're going to allow it to be in movie theaters longer, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Hopefully, fingers crossed. If you can see it, go see it. Because you're supporting, trying to bring awareness to this problem, which is just disgusting. I mean, here's the thing. I think it's everywhere. I don't think you're safe anywhere, unfortunately. I had a guy come up to me here in Vegas. It was probably about 6 months ago, which is in the height of my trauma of my parents. And I was kind of like, don't try me. You will be a stain on the pavement. You know what I mean? Like,
literally.
But this guy came up to me. I was at a gas station and I was in a bougie area of Summerlin, Las Vegas, which is a very expensive area. It's where I live. And I was at a gas pump and he was like, hey, I have some drugs. Can I give you some drugs? And he was in this like big dark van trying to get me to go over the van. And I looked at him. I was like, I don't give an F about your drugs. Like, shove them up your a-hole. I think he was trying to put an air tag on my Jeep because he kept grabbing the bumper of my Jeep.
Oh, no.
And I was like, if you even try me, homie, you're going to be a stain on the pavement. Like, if you even try me, homie, I don't have a weapon on me right now, but I have some nails and I can gouge your eyeballs out. Don't try me, ho. You know what I'm saying?
You're like, I watch serial killer shows, all right? Don't try me.
Don't try me. But my point is, I think it is a problem and it's horrible. And I think that everyone that's involved in this should burn in hell. If there is a hell, I hope that these people go there. Especially for these innocent children. And anyway, I thought, I'm going to do my part to bring awareness to this. The movie is called Sound of Freedom. It's by Mel Gibson. Supposedly it's only going to be in theaters the 4th, 5th, and 6th. If you can get to see it, let's bring these assholes down, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, two things I can't stand more than anything are animal abuse, child abuse, but I also don't like women being abused. And apparently they're using women as breeders in this circle, isn't it? So they get the women pregnant, they have babies, and they just keep it going. And then when the kids get old enough to where they've been abused so badly, like some of them are even ripped and torn to pieces from these pedos, that they will take their bodies and sell their body parts on the black market for organ transplants.
What?
Yeah, it's a messed up. It's so messed up.
My God.
It's so dark and messed up. So my friends and producers were like, hey, you should talk about this on the podcast to bring awareness because we want to take all these assholes down. I'm like, all right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Let's do it.
So anyway, if you can see it, freaking get it. Apparently they've only been able to use social media to talk about promoting this film, which is shocking for me. I mean, from a filmmaker standpoint, how much money goes into advertising and trying to promote films. And the fact that no one would allow it is just amazing. Tells you too many people are involved in this.
It's still corrupt.
Oh,
The industry is still corrupt.
it's so corrupt.
It's
I mean,
money.
I've had producers ask me to sleep with them and exchange it for my series, and I haven't done it. So I know it's real.
No.
I know it's real.
Yeah.
And it's gross.
Happens in the opera world too.
Yes.
Happens in the opera world.
Yeah,
My mom has so many horror stories, especially in Europe. Crazy.
I hate to keep saying it, but men have ruled the world long enough. I'm tired. And I think men have proven that they haven't done a very good job. It's only been corruption, war, and death, and I'm kind of tired. That's my opinion on it.
History keeps repeating itself with these guys in charge.
And
so
they keep saying, don't let women be
working.
in charge because they're on their periods and they're you know, they get moody and they'll cause war. And I'm like, really? Look, what have you done until now? Honestly.
Literally though.
Sorry. Don't
That's
get us
crazy.
started, guys. Just don't
get us on the soapbox.
Don't get us started.
Feminism.
Anyway, awareness, right? Sound of freedom. The next thing is I did this is the last little thing. I did a documentary in I think 2014, 2015, somewhere in there called The Ferris Mansion. If you want to watch it, you can go to KrystalLeandra.com and scroll down to look for my filmmaking, and you can find Ferris Mansion. It's in this little tiny town called Rawlins, Wyoming, and it's for sale. The Ferris Mansion's for sale. And I just thought that was adorable. I wish I had the money but I don't know if I would buy. Rawlins is literally the middle of nowhere. Like, literally. Yeah. Cheyenne's a big city. Like, there's bigger cities in Wyoming. Casper's a big city, but, big comparative. So Rawlins is the middle of nowhere. But if you have a lot of money and you want to own a haunted inn, go buy the Ferris Mansion. I posted it on my Twitter and my stories on Instagram. Kat and I have a goal that eventually we want to just together purchase a bunch of haunted inns all over the place and allow it to be accessible to other ghost hunters.
Investigators, yeah, absolutely. I think that would be great. I think that'd be a good learning experience as well.
Exactly.
For people.
Yeah, a safe place.
Hosting workshops and things,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also just really just to get on a little soapbox here too. You think of the Lizzie Borden house and you think of all of these other haunted locations where sometimes a little too much freedom is given to these investigators. I think it's really important to have people there that have the location's interest at heart and the spirit's interest at heart. You know what I mean? Because folks can be really disrespectful or destroy the building or, XYZ, and a camera can catch it, but then it's too late.
I find that same with, what was that? Bobby Mackey's, I think, got really ran into the ground. I think they just let anybody go in there. Wanda Kay ended up passing away from cancer. Bobby Mackey's was, they would just let anyone go in there, summon demons, like whatever. Like, by the way, not just anyone can summon a demon. Like, you have to be educated on it, but darkness exists, you know what I mean? And I think that was just wrong because you're forgetting about the history of that building. There were like children slaves in there that worked for the men that were doing the slaughterhouse, and they would die by falling into these big buckets of lard and burned to death. And like, what if those little kids are in there and now you're in there summoning demons? Like, it's just wrong on so many levels. You're right. There's got to be a sense of respect and guidance. Yes, you want to have a paranormal experience. Yes, you want to film, but there needs to be some respect. We even talk all the time about those locations in the South, like Mississippi, Alabama, and they'll go into these locations from like the 1700s, and they have a paranormal party, and they're doing drugs, and they set it on fire, and it ends up going up in flames, and that's what makes the industry look bad.
Yep. It should be taken more seriously. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, I agree.
Okay, so this is our topics for the day, because it's a lot. We have aliens, UFOs, the Titanic, Josh Gates, and Egypt, and I think that's a good way to enter. Kat's been gone for so long. We were like, we have some ideas here.
Let's just do everything now. Like, that's just like literally my life.
Let's just catch this up. Now. Yeah. All right, which I'm kind of excited for this one, aren't you?
I am too. There's a lot to touch on.
Kat's at the end. Like, she's waiting for the Josh Gates Egypt part, but like, okay.
Krystal's got everything else.
I've got the UFOs, okay? No.
You got the UFOs.
The Let's start.
Do you remember when we saw one in Vegas? Do you remember that?
Oh, girl, we've seen so many. Please tell everyone what it's like. It's very much just part of everyday life here, isn't it?
It is. Like, seeing crawlers.
No, that was Arizona. That was Arizona.
Shame.
Arizona is a whole nother mess of things.
It's becoming a little too comfortable.
Did you see the crashed footage and this UFO footage of these 8-foot creatures in the backyard of this crashed UFO that happened in early June? Did you see it?
I did.
Okay, let me start with one thing. The first thing is people on the comments get so aggressive and they say, why are you filming this with a Nokia phone? Why are you, if this is on video, why is it so blurry and hazy? Guys, do you really think that these beings are on our same energetic field? Like, if you believe in paranormal, you'll understand there are different dimensions. That's how we're able to communicate with the other side, right? And I'm not talking just 2 dimensions. There are thousands of dimensions out there, okay? You think that they are vibrating on our same frequency? Yes, they crashed on our Earth, but they're on a whole different frequency. That's why when you're filming these things, even with paranormal, why is it blurry? Because they're on a different frequency. Doesn't matter. You can have a brand new 4K phone or whatever, 8K phone, 16K phone. It's still not going to work because they're on a different frequency. So let's remember that, okay? Now, and I want to back up just a little bit too, because Kat and I have the same kind of opinion on aliens. I used to be afraid of aliens, and I think that's been indoctrinated by society, especially by the government wanting us to be afraid. After living in Vegas, experiencing a lot, I've talked about thinking that I had an abduction at one point. I am not afraid of aliens. They are not what you think they are. Is that how you feel about it?
I do agree. Yeah. I think they're curious, but I don't think they're here to like hurt people.
I don't even know if they're curious. I think that they are like watching us. I think they want to know what's going on. Like they're and once again, someone crashes in your backyard, like they're probably more scared than you are. You know what I mean? Like,
want a hat? You want a hat?
Kat's gonna be like, "Come on in for some tea, guys. Let's go."
Here's a crocheted scarf to take back.
Are you cold? How can I help you get your ship back together? What can we do here?
Teach you how to crochet.
But in Vegas, it's so weird because, first of all, think about how bright Vegas is compared to any other city on the planet. Vegas is so bright. Like, I really think that Vegas is like a guide point for anyone that comes to Earth because it's the brightest city 24/7, right?
True.
Here's the thing. Like, my friends that have lived here for years, like, it's not... Like, if you've been in Vegas for a long time, like, I'm talking 10 years or more, like myself... You're not shocked by any alien sightings. People that have grown up here, that are native here, it is aliens are here. Ask Kat. You have been to the Strip with me how many times? How many times have we walked down on the Strip on different locations from the south side to the north side, and you walk by people and you know they're not human?
Oh, a lot.
Do you say anything though? No. It's none of your business.
No, but it does emit, like when you bump into that. Or when you have that experience, it does have its own energy. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's always felt like time is slowed down. Like when you're walking by this individual, it's like a slow, like head turn, and you just know. Mm-hmm. You just know, and you respect it. Yeah. It's whatever, They have as much right to be here as anybody else, I guess. So
it is. Well, and some people are like, then why were these? This UFO, this ship supposedly crashed in Northwest Las Vegas. So people wanted to hear my opinion on it. Northwest Vegas. I'm in Summerlin, which is about Midwest side, which is the bougie side of Vegas. Took me a long time to get here. Don't you judge me. I worked my butt off to get here, okay? I don't want to be judged. But the northwest side of Vegas is very new. There's an orchard up there, but they just started building up there about 5 or 6 years ago. And yes, there's a lot of people up there now. It's a little bit cheaper, a little less expensive. People were asking, like, does it happen all the time? All the time. There's Area 51. It's not shocking. Please don't care. Nobody really cares. Like, we see alien sightings. We see alien ships all the time. It's not shocking. I hate to, like, put you down about it. I wish that everyone could live here and experience it, because then you wouldn't be shocked. I don't know. And here's the other thing. Like, I think that the government tries to control it, tries to scare people with it. And when you've experienced it here, it's not scary anymore. Because it's like, oh yeah, there's other life out there. We see it like almost every day. Like, it's not shocking. Now, the people in the video were shocked because they were like videotaping these creatures in their backyard. Their ship crashed. there's a lot, we have a huge influx of people moving to Vegas from California. There's a lot of people leaving California and moving here. And those people are not familiar with what's going on here in Vegas and how much it's a part of your day-to-day thing. Honestly, if you watch the police even talk about, like, yeah, we caught it on camera, like, they weren't really that shocked about it.
Right.
They're like, yeah, my buddy caught it on his camera. I was like, yeah, because it's all the time. That's it.
It's everywhere.
And then there was this thing going around saying that the people disappeared that videotaped it. No, they didn't. I've seen. I'm on local news, not like the media, but like local FYP of TikTok, and his videos have popped up. He hasn't disappeared. He's still here. He even came out and said, like, why are you guys saying I disappeared? Like, so people do turn things and make them into something. So just remember that. Yep. Now here, I have an annoyance, though. I have an annoyance. I got on, I had like the normal news on the other day, which this was like the beginning of June when this first happened. I normally don't watch the normal news because once again, I just don't trust the media. But Ben Hansen came on the television. And he was on like CNN or something. Ben Hansen, if you guys remember him, he's from the show Fact or Faked. He was the one that was the supposed FBI agent from the former FBI agent when he was like 20 years old. Yes.
Yes.
So Ben Hansen comes on and he's like, I'm going to give my opinion on this alien crash. I'm like, there's just some people should go away, and that's one of them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Just stop. Okay, please. Former FBI agent at the age of 22. Like, okay, tell me your opinion on this. Like, he's one of those that and I'm like, of course he's going to jump in there and try to get like another extra 5 minutes of fame on this when he doesn't even live in Vegas, has no idea what's going on. Okay, Mr. FBI agent, I got it. So I was a little bit annoyed with that, but honestly, I don't even know why people freak out about the alien stuff anymore, because I'm from an area that, and Kat says she's seen it too. It's just part of Vegas. It's very common.
It's normal.
It's not shocking. Normal. Yeah, it's just aliens do exist, guys. I hate to break it to you, and we're not alone. Thank God, because I can't wait to get off this floating rock. Thank God.
Take me up.
All right, now we're going to move on to Ocean Gate and Titanic.
Okay.
This was a hot mess. Now, Kat's birthday is on.
Yeah, can we talk about this?
Yeah.
Can we take a moment to reflect on the trauma?
Kat is very close to Titanic, okay? She's
okay. Let's just talk about this for a minute. So, okay, so I was born April 15th, tax baby. All right, the 90s. Mm-hmm. And, I was born. That was a good thing, I guess. Good things happen.
Miss
Even though I had some trauma growing up, being born. We won't talk about that. That's for another stream. Anyway, so April 15th, a lot of really bad things happened. Titanic sank. Mm-hmm. Abe Lincoln was shot and assassinated.
Wow, it's a bad day.
Notre Dame caught on fire. The Boston Marathon bombing happened on April 15th. Okay.
Everyone just stay indoors on April 15th and celebrate Kat that way. Yeah.
This is why I don't leave the house at birthday. No, just kidding. But no, it's every time I hear about the Titanic, I'm like, ah.
So Kat, so it's interesting. And I think the minute we heard about this, we both thought it was a bad idea. Immediately.
It was really silly. Well, you know what was silly about it is, if you were really interested in that topic, especially about Ocean Gate, there were already videos talking about that gaming controller.
That was bad.
How is it that these people with all of this money didn't even take the time to do the research to figure out if this was going to be good for their well-being, let alone their wallet?
Well, I think that's the problem, is like when you have, and I know this because not many, I don't know many billionaires. I've met a couple, not like in a friend zone type of thing, but I've known millionaires, and when you have that kind of money that's expungible, right? That's like you can throw away $250,000 for a ride on a submarine. You don't think about that safety, because I really do think that when you get that kind of money, you think you're invincible. And I also think that's why corruption's so bad. I think I think the sex trafficking, the all this horrible stuff that's happening on the planet, and it's all led by what they say is the elites, the Rockefellers, whatever, Rothschilds or whatever. I think when you have that kind of money, you don't think about your safety and concern, because now you've created a life for yourself that has so much safety with wealth that you also don't think you could die in a fiery car crash or something could go bad. And I think that that's a lesson too, to like learn to be humble if you have that kind of money. And I don't think they deserved it. I felt bad for the 19-year-old. You know what I mean?
Oh, no. I mean, that it shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have happened. And there's, it's awful what they experienced and what happened. But that's the other side of it, is there is that innate want in humans to dive back into the past, to, have those experiences and see, the wreckage, or, to have that experience.
I saw James Cameron, who is the director of Titanic. He did a really interesting blurb that I saw, and I didn't even think of it this way. But he said, before he did the Titanic in 1997 or 8, whatever it was, he did get on an actual submarine and he did go see the actual Titanic wreckage because he wanted to experience what it felt like, the emotions. He wanted to see what it was like. And he said he was just going down as a director, like, I'm a movie director. I'm going down below the surface. I'm just trying to get inspiration. And he said it didn't hit him until he got down there. And he said, this is a graveyard. He said, this is where hundreds of people died and are laid to rest, and there's nothing left. There's no remnants of them left. And I just thought that was really interesting. He said it shouldn't be a tourist attraction, like what these people were going to treat it as. And I was like, wow, I really liked that statement.
Let it be. Let it be at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
I mean, it's eerie. Even some of the photos you see from, when some folks have gone down to the Titanic, you see shoes, homes, pieces of jewelry,
clocks. They had the old
just
clocks.
Leave it alone.
Yeah.
Leave it alone. It happened. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
It said that they, at first they thought it imploded, and now that they brought the wreckage up, they said that a window was probably blasted out. They were probably in the dark when it happened, and they were listening to their favorite music. I guess that's an easy way to go, in my opinion. Yeah. It's sort of what I talked about on the podcast before this about my mom, and I want to reiterate this because I think there's been an obsession about how they died and what their last moments were. And I feel like I need to reiterate this of what I've experienced on the other side with my mom's death. If you don't die a natural death, like going to sleep, or even let's say you die under surgery or you're in the hospital, like those are all kind of natural deaths per se. And if you die a traumatic death, like my mom was gasping for air, she ended up on life support, something like this, when you're, or even like, let's say a shark attack, something like this, you're in a catastrophic implosion. You could even compare like Paul Walker when his car hit the tree and it exploded. When that happens, unless you're having a natural death, you will leave your body on your own. Okay, if you have a natural death, you go to sleep and you wake up on the other side. You've naturally done it by yourself. If there is a catastrophe that happens, your spirit guides will step in and they will remove you from your body. So when it happens, you do not experience pain, because that's been the biggest thing everyone's obsessed with is, oh my God, did they drown? Did they know it was coming? No, their guides were like, I'm getting you out of here before it happens. You're not meant to experience that kind of pain when you die. And I feel like that was really important to talk about, because I've noticed more than anything, everyone's obsession with this has been, what did they feel when they died? Nothing. Yeah. The answer is nothing.
Yeah.
There's another girl that's I follow on TikTok. Let me see if I can find her name really quickly. Her name is Gemma, and okay, here it is. Yes. She is a psychic medium. I think she's from Ireland or Scotland. I'm not sure. But her name is Gemma, Gemma, Lon, Lonsdale, Guru. And in February, she channeled a message from Bill, which was the one guy that was on the Titanic film who died. What was his name? Bill. Whatever his name was, Bill.
Yeah.
He came through and said there was going to be a catastrophe again surrounding the Titanic. And so she went viral because of that. So she knew something was going to happen in February. Anyway, she came through and said that she had Bill Stockton, which was the, not Bill Stockton, the Ocean Gate CEO. Yes, Stockton Rush.
Yeah.
She came through 6 days ago and said that I have a picture of her. I can put, in case you guys need to see it on here on, I know that you won't see it on the podcast. She said that she had Stockton Rush came forward and in a dream and told her that he was reckless and he gave his sincerest apologies and that he said he was fully at fault and he dismissed the red flags that were put in his way before this happened. And he said a lot, and he also came through with another message. I'm fascinated with her, and she only has 70,000 followers, by the way. I'll send you one of her videos, Kat, so that you can see it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send it right now just so I don't forget. But she also came through and she said that there's going to be some emails that come out about corruption that was going on with Ocean Gate. So the CEO visited her again in the afterlife, saying that he was basically apologizing to the families and that there was more corruption that was going to come out, that he was taking the money and doing things he wasn't supposed to do rather than putting the money into the actual machinery and making sure that it was run. It's sad. And then well, it's horrible that I feel most bad for the 19-year-old. You know what I mean? He had his whole life ahead of him.
I feel that everyone went, but that's just a little too late there.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I mean,
I know.
Crazy.
That's a one way to go. Whew, shit. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want to go out that way. But
no.
The mom of the 19-year-old and her husband came forward, and talk about universal intervention, okay? She said that a couple of days before they were supposed to fly, what was it, to Canada? Is that where it was launched from?
I think so, yeah.
Or Newfoundland or something, whatever it was.
Newfoundland, yeah.
She said that their flight got canceled. And then they had another 2-flight delay, and they kept missing their flights. So once again, the reason I'm talking about this is your spirit guides will send you messages. And it may not be a direct message like the way I'm looking at Kat and talking to her. But if there is something happening in your life, like you're missing a plane or you're missing a flight, it's for a reason. Especially if it happens, she said it happened 2 or 3 times their flights were delayed. And they thought they were going to miss the launch of it. They were meant to miss the launch of it. That was their spirit guides trying to say, hey, pay attention. I'm making you miss these flights for a reason. And they weren't paying attention, and they did it anyway. So my point is I know that there are frustrations that happen in life. But if your guides are communicating with you, stop ignoring the signs, because it's a redirection, not a misdirection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyway, that's it. God rest their soul, because that's freaking horrible. I would not want to go.
It's dark.
I am scared to death of water. I've never been on a ship. I've never been on a boat, and this is why. Okay.
This is an exact example of why.
Although I think I drowned in Atlantis. I know I did. That's where there was a tsunami that came. I also am deathly afraid of natural disasters. So there's a reason for that.
My gosh, do you remember when there was a tornado warning here in New Hampshire?
And you called me and you were like, what should you know?
I was like, help me.
She was getting her yarn, everybody. That was
literally, I was like, I need to put this all away.
I don't want my yarn to be strode away.
I was like, I'll put it in the tub, I don't care.
Why are we laughing?
Issues.
Yeah, you did put it in the tub.
Priority is the yarn.
And your witchy stuff. She was getting all her witchy stuff, and she's like, what do I need to save to take Jesus. Oh.
I wasn't thinking, clearly.
No, it's all right. It's like, just make sure you're safe first.
Panic button there. I'm glad I wasn't.
So anyway, that's the UFOs, the aliens, and the Titanic, because that's just a hot mess, man. That was sad.
It's really sad.
I don't ever want to be in a submarine anyway, if I'm being honest with you. So.
No, never ever.
Especially one that's. I would never. Let's just make this clear. I would never get in a submarine ran by a PS4 remote controller.
Yeah, there's some like really bad jokes going out there too.
Did you see the
Like,
owner of the company, of the remote company? He came. What is the remote company? It's the off-brand company. He did this like rant. It was so funny. He was like, just to make it clear, the reason I've created these remotes is for people that can't afford an actual PS4 controller. I'm not making these remotes for you to be able to control a submarine. He was like, maybe I need to put that on as a warning label on. It was so bad.
You know, but this is an example of why there are warning labels on certain things that you look at and you're like, why is there a warning on this? And then you realize why, because it actually happened.
Well, that
you know,
they
like,
said though that the actual like what the submarine was created out of, whatever that it looked to me like tin and aluminum, like literally aluminum. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're saying that it was not meant for like sea pressure to be on the sea floor, and I'm like, why? Oh my, whatever. You can't talk about it now. Let's just say that you can be a millionaire and not be the smartest cookie in the box. You know.
You know, it just makes you wonder if he knew going down that he wasn't going to make it back up. And if he did, shame on him.
I think the 19-year-old knew something, because they said he was very hesitant and didn't want to go. He said he was like, he said he only went because it was for Father's Day weekend. So I think, once again, your intuition, please stop ignoring your intuition. If your mind is telling you something or your gut is telling you something's wrong, just listen to it. Don't go against your intuition, because it is 100% right all the time. I would have been like, Dad, I've got really bad diarrhea. I can't go this weekend.
Every day. Every day.
Yeah. I'm dead. Oh, jeez.
We can edit that out.
I took some ayahuasca by accident, and I'm not feeling...
I took some ayahuasca before going to the bottom of the ocean. Honestly, that's probably what I would need to get to the bottom of the ocean.
No,
let's be real.
I'm not. You know what? And it's crazy because I love the water, right? Like, I love lakes. I love rivers. I'm dying to get back. That's why I want to move somewhere with more nature. I love pools. I even love the ocean. You and I've been to the ocean together before. I love wading in the ocean. I love it. But I'm not going to go past my, knee, okay? I'm not going to go past my knee. I'm not going to get on a boat.
Sorry.
Why? Because I respect the elements, okay?
Anything higher than the knee is a problem.
Yeah, also, sharks. Sharks.
Attack.
No, yes. Giant squids.
What about whales?
Megalodons.
Get, KO'd by a whale.
What about killer whales? They're taking the boats down, y'all. No. I'm tired. I can't fight. I like dolphins. I like dolphins, but not enough to swim with them, okay? I'm good.
Some dolphins are pretty intense, though.
I know.
Okay? Well, it depends on the dolphin you meet.
Well, once again, I wouldn't know.
Slapped by
and I will never know.
Humpback.
I'll never know. No.
Backhanded by a humpback whale. Can you imagine?
Oh, there was a kayaker that was on TikTok that got accidentally half swallowed by one. And I was like, no, there's another reason. Let's just keep building the reasons why the ocean is not safe.
What part of TikTok are you on?
Beautiful, but respect. It's beautiful, but it's respect. I am not going in there. Absolutely not. So, anyway, that's all. Now we can segue into the next one, which is interesting. You're the one that found this, so I want you to talk about this. But the expedition, what is it? Unknown? Is that his new one? Yeah.
Unknown, yeah.
Josh Gates says that he refused to film on the Titanic sub because it, quote, didn't perform well. So I'm going to let you take this one over because you were a little miffed about this.
Yeah, I was a little bit miffed because he said this, and I'm pretty sure it's still on Twitter too. So if you look up Josh Gates, I'm pretty sure it's still up there. He said, "I had the unique opportunity to dive in the Ocean Gate Titan sub with Stockton at the helm in preparation for its maiden mission to Titanic. To those asking, Titan did not perform well on my dive. Ultimately, I walked away from a huge opportunity to film Titanic due to my safety concerns with Ocean Gate platform." He said, he also hinted at the design flaws with it, obviously, gaming controller. He said that there's more to the history and design of Titan that has not been made public. Much of it is concerning. But what really miffed me, essentially, is that he's kind of playing like both sides. You know, he's talking about how, yes, this is a fact. This this did not perform well. But on the other hand is saying, he said, quote, to those questioning why people would dive for the Titanic, the ship has fascinated the world since the night she sank. It's a time capsule to another era of our history. It takes courage to take a trip like this. Admiration and prayers for the passengers on board, which obviously, yes. You know, I mean, geez, who would want to go like that? That was absolutely horrible. But, you know, use your brain. Absolutely. It is a human thing to be fascinated by certain things that happened in history. But, it takes courage to take a trip like this. I mean, why are you going to the bottom of the ocean when no one's really been down there?
Yeah, but this was like 3 meters down, though. Like, I feel like there's a difference between, I feel like there's a difference between the bottom of the ocean and, like, this is like the dark depths where there's no sunlight. In fact, whales can't even dip this far low because it will crush them. Like, a lot of species don't even live this far down because they can't survive, including sharks.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It bothered me. It bothered me because it's like, on one hand, you're saying, yes, this did not work. But on the other hand, you're like, yeah, but, humans will be humans. And I'm like, it's not just humans will be human. Like, that should not have happened, period. Use your brain. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, people can be fascinated by that. That's a fact. Some people are. But that doesn't make it right that you should have taken the trip down there. It doesn't take courage to make a trip like that. It's idiocracy is really what it is. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't have happened, especially with these people taking this amount of money and bringing people down there. Mm-hmm. I mean, shame on them.
And knowing that there hasn't been the precise tests that have been done on that, knowing it hasn't been tested. There's a reason. I feel like there's a lot of people like, oh, well, we take submarines down all the time. Yes, they're military submarines that have been approved. And basically the CEO didn't want to go through the right channels of approval. If you look at Ocean Gate, you look at the actual submarine, like, it looks good on the outside, but that doesn't mean it's going to be able to function underneath that kind of water pressure. I mean, think about if I buy water because you don't ever drink tap water in Vegas, okay? But, like, think about carrying the, like, distilled water jugs, like how heavy just 1 gallon is. Imagine an entire ocean of water. Like, it is heavy. Of course it's going to implode if it's not done correctly. And it's just a shame, and they say they signed these NDAs and these non-disclosure agreements where they can't be sued, but I don't know, because now the CEO's dead too.
Yeah, I don't know. By the way, I just like to note there's a lot of things that look good on the outside that are not healthy. All right, is all I'm just going to say about that.
Including men. People. Including men.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh my God. People are going to be like, we're so glad you're back together now. Thank God.
But, here's the thing for me, because people will take anything you say and misconstrue it and do the cancel culture crap. Okay. Right. Let me be really clear to preface that I am not saying that I am not remorseful of what these people experienced and that they died. Like that there's a place for that. It's awful. Absolutely. Being sensitive to that's important. But someone needs to take accountability as to what happened. And I think that it's okay to also be angry at that CEO that did that to those people.
Right.
That doesn't make it right. That doesn't mean that we wanted them to die or to go. But someone has to take accountability for this. And unfortunately, it was him and whoever else was making this. And I really hope they get time because it caused lives. Mm-hmm. Took lives.
That, and I saw a lot of people, and this is what's so wrong with our society, which is why I think there is this great awakening happening, and even that's why I've been talking about, maybe Kat wants to come do a podcast with me about that too. There were a lot of really cold people online that were like, oh, they were just a bunch of billionaires, like, who cares? That's cruel. They're still humans. They're still humans. Please don't let society indoctrinate your head like that. And I think that really comes from a place of jealousy, because you see people that are millionaires and billionaires and you think, oh, well, I'll never have that. That's not true. Anyone can be a millionaire and billionaire. You shouldn't be discredited or discounted just because. Now, did they make some poor decisions by making sure like the submarine was not tested correctly first before getting on? Absolutely. But no humans are perfect, but nobody deserves to die like that.
No, nobody does. Nobody does. So trust me, there is sensitivity with this, but accountability needs to be taken, and it needs to be taken fast, because what happens is people go way too sympathetic and thinking about the bad thing that happened and not addressing the real issue on how do we stop this from happening again. And it needs to be addressed like soon.
Well, apparently, so the CEO died, but apparently there's a second like co-owner, like I don't know who he is. They went silent. Apparently their website's down, which is interesting.
I hope they go to jail.
Yeah.
Honestly, I really hope they do. Because that means it will just keep happening if we just continue to feed the money. They've had
engineers come forward that worked for the company that said that they were raising red flags about how things were being built, and the engineers they would give them like 15 minutes to clean out their desk and leave. They didn't. Basically, this CEO was full of ego, the one that died, and didn't want to be questioned on anything he was doing. He probably was crowdfunding a lot of money for this. I don't know if it was a nonprofit, but you can get a lot of money and loans from nonprofits. He was probably pocketing all of it, and he was doing it the cheapest way possible. And now we've just expunged some innocent lives, especially this 19-year-old, which is what just breaks my heart.
You know what it really is crazy, though, is at the end of the day, we don't really know why he did what he did or why, But to me, it just felt really selfish. Mm-hmm. I think he was doing that expedition for him.
I agree.
Say he did it. And look where that landed him.
Well,
and other people.
And it's so bad. I can't say I wasn't laughing at some of those Titanic memes that were going oh my God.
Way too soon.
It was, but it's true. They were like, here's the ghost of the Titanic, and they're like, all of a sudden, here comes that song, like, and like it rockets down, and I was like, oh my God. And all the ghosts are looking up like, oh my God, we're about to have 5 more join us. Like, it's so bad.
It just, let it go. Just let it be in the ocean.
Once again, it's not just in the ocean. It is down. It's 3 meters down. Like, it is. Whoa, you know what I mean? Like, it's down there. Okay, so moving forward, now we're gonna go into. I saw this. This was a random thing I wanted to add in here. A crew of 4 at NASA. They were just. This was like a couple of weeks ago. They were just locked in on a 378 day mission, and they're going to be locked in a Mars simulation planet. They're already there. They're not coming out for a year to see if they survive. I'm tired. Why are we going to Mars when we can't even take care of this planet? I don't know what's going on.
Well, but like, what's a simulation's going to not be anything compared to being on another planet?
Do you know why? Because it's light years away, bro. That's why. Like, if there's an emergency, I just can't open the door and be like, here's some more water so you don't die.
The tax I don't even want to think about the tax dollars that this took
to live in a Mars simulation for 3.
But it's not even. Have you seen the pictures of it?
No, I haven't.
It's like walls that you can clearly see are walls with 3D printed wallpaper on it.
Do you know how bored you're going to be after like 3 days? Like, I'm over it. I want out. I'm done. I'm tapping out.
Honestly, I'm going to be like, I'm turning to Ed Gein on Mars. All right.
Stop.
I'm tired.
I'm dead.
I'm tired.
I am tired because I'm looking at all these things and I'm like, what is wrong with our society? We're not worried about what's wrong in front of us. We're doing things that, like, we're going back to the Titanic, and now we have some more ghosts down there. We're going back. We're going to Mars. Even if life was there a long time ago, there ain't none there now. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing? But our planet is setting itself on fire and flooding us because it's sick of our shit, and we're going to ignore that and continue to try to go to Mars. Okay, cool. Good. Sounds like a great plan.
The problem with society is that we think we know better. And we really don't.
That's humans' egos that are just so inflated.
It is humans' egos. When you realize that you're always going to be a student instead of needing to be the master of everything, that's when everything changes.
Exactly.
And it's the mastering that's caused wars. And a lot more problems. So
yeah, France is on fire right now. France is going down. They're on a new revolution. So bad. Then we have Twitter's about to take a crap because Elon has ran that into the ground, and Facebook is making a new app called Threads to take it, and it probably will. It'll probably take over because
Threads.
Yeah, You can connect your Threads account to, it's like the new Twitter, because I hate Twitter right now. They put a cap on how many tweets you can see per day unless you pay $8. I'm like, I'm not paying $8 to you, Elon. You have enough money. Apparently all of the advertisers from Twitter have pulled out because Twitter's such a mess. I'm like, it's just a matter of time before it goes down. I'm like, what's wrong? Once again, you have Elon Musk, and he's smart. I'm going to give him his credit. Like, he's smart, but clearly not smart enough to run a social media and do it the right way.
Yeah, no, not good.
I don't know what's going on. Oh, then Cat saw this, the iconic, the new anticipated cruise ship that's about to, I'm just going to let you talk about it. I'm just going to let you do it. You called me, Cat called me, and she was like, I'm so pissed off right now. And I was like, what?
This was like days after they've discovered that these poor people were imploded upon, okay? And they're like, Carnival Cruise Line with this giant ass ship gonna be the most anticipated. I was like, is nobody paying attention? I get it. There's no icebergs out there.
It's because they're all melted. It's because they're all gone.
Okay? It's just not. Let's make heavier ships to sink faster. Let's do that. No.
It will set sail in early 2024. It's a massive cruise ship, and it's huge. Have you seen it? It's huge. It has a pool at sea, a water park on top of it.
Just can't even go there because, I just really hope we don't see anything on the news.
Speaking of that, though, something that's I must be on the dark side of TikTok, which, probably.
I think you are, because I have not seen anything you're talking about.
I'm like laughing. There's a side of TikTok I'm on that is like about mermaids and like sailors out at sea, like actual sailors. So these are like fish boats, shrimp boats, and I'm talking like these aren't little boats. Like these are massive companies that are doing this. And they, first of all, they take images when there is a massive storm out at sea. It is scary as F. It is so, and I've even seen the cruise ships that are out at sea when there's a bad storm. Oh my God, it's scary. Like, I'll never go on a cruise ship, especially after I drown in my past life. We're not going to go there. That's past trauma. Anyway, but then they'll have these mermaids, these sirens, and they have video footage of, like, I have never been more, I mean, I was a believer before, but there is, like, legit footage of sirens, these mermaids swimming next to these boats, and he will call out to them, and they'll say stuff like, jump for me, and they'll start singing to the fishermen. It's amazing, which, by the way, once again, respect the sea, okay? Let's just stop there. Respect the sea, respect the ocean. But because of that, this cruise ship is not, I'm not interested.
Oh, they're totally screwed.
Totally screwed.
I should say that, but I'm just like, we're just not. Let's make something heavier to sink faster. That's literally all
they were saying, though, it's so interesting because you have the captain of the Titanic and you have the captain of this imploded freaking makeshift submarine that wasn't even a submarine. But both of them were warned before they did it, and they both ignored warnings. So the Titanic captain was warned that he needed to turn the ship faster, and he didn't. They ended up hitting the iceberg, and it sunk. And then the same thing happened with, which is creepy to see history repeat itself twice.
It just happens so much now. I'm just not shocked anymore.
But you know, that's the thing, the human ego. These humans think they're so smart. We're going to go to Mars. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And then they end up like exploding themselves. Like, you're not, you thought you were real smart. Now you're not here. So what's the point? What's the point now that you're gone?
Literally.
Anyway, Carnival Cruise, if anyone's interested, it launches in 2024.
Don't do it. No.
Don't
do it. Abort mission.
Yeah, isn't it like 2 or 3 times the size of Titanic or something they said? Or something?
It's stupid. It's really dumb. Yeah, it is.
Once again, we're afraid of aliens, yet aliens are driving by the planet. Like, lock your doors, guys. Like, don't stop there.
I'm not afraid of the sky. I'm afraid of the ocean.
Beam me up, Scotty. I want to go home. This place is a shithole. Like, I don't know what's going on here anymore.
I keep looking over at my rabbit, Pom Pom.
How's Pom doing?
He's so interested in this.
He's like, this is great combo. Aunt Krystal is on the up there.
Popcorn. He needs some popcorn. He's laying down. He's so cute.
Okay, so this was interesting. So there was a new episode with Josh Gates that he traveled to the kingdom of Kush, which doesn't exist anymore because it's obviously, this is times when they had wars with Egypt, and like there were problems with the Nile, and obviously there was a collapse of the empire. But it was really interesting because he traveled to Africa and he was looking for the pyramid tomb of a king. And he ends up finding these excavators, and he ends up, I mean, you know, he is literally the modern day Indiana Jones. And he is probably one of the best hosts that exists out there for like paranormal, you know, weird stuff. So he goes to the kingdom of Kush. He finds this pyramid system that has now been flooded by the Nile. And they're basically going, it ended up being like a 2 or 3 part series. They go into these murky waters and it's full of sediment. So even if you dive in with full scuba gear, you can't even see your hand in front of you because it's so full of sediment from these old tombs and old pyramids. And I wanted to bring Kat in on this because, you know, I lived a past life in Atlantis, which is why I'm talking in fear about drowning, because it legit happened. Kat lived a past life in Egypt 100%, and she's been fascinated with Egypt her whole life, and she knows the history like no other. And although this isn't Egypt, it's the kingdom of Kush, I wanted to bring her in on this conversation because when Josh Gates, and I do love him and I'll still watch him and stuff, but you know, you have these excavators that are going into these, it's 3 chambers essentially, and this is how kings were buried. There'd be one chamber where you would have to clean yourself to you know, be clean, to expose yourself to the king. So that means washing yourself down, washing your feet, taking your shoes off. The second chamber would be where you would sort of prepare your offering to visit the king's tomb. And then the third tomb, or the third chamber, was the actual king himself. And now it's flooded, which to me is, I feel like, is just nature saying, like, let it be buried.
Leave it alone.
Let it go. But, they're going in there and they're pulling out artifacts, and the tomb of the king has now been cracked open from the sediment and the weight of the water and the tomb collapsing essentially. And you have this guy, it's not Josh, but the guy he's working with, it's this excavator. And of course he's like a white dude, you know, and he's got his arm in that, like, you know, they're showing it. He's got his arm in this tomb and it's underwater, and they're pulling all this like stuff out, and they're excavating, essentially pulling out this king's body piece by piece. And, you know, as in Egypt, they are buried with a lot of things to protect them on the other side, which I'm going to let you talk about. But I was like, what do you think about this? Because it gave me the ick.
Yeah, it's a hard line to cross, I think, because when it comes to history and preservation and wanting to give an accurate representation on the history of the ancient world, you know, we have to look for those things have to be looked for. You know, you have to read the hieroglyphics, you have to read the scrolls, you know, put the pieces together. But when it comes to tomb raiding, which is essentially what they're doing, I have a real big problem with that. I feel like it's enough for you to just look and maybe leave everything as is, you know, and look through and do it that way. I'm sure that there are instances where they can't, depending on how badly it is, or if they have to brush something off, whatever. But, you know, respecting the dead, I think, is really important. And I do have a huge problem with them removing mummies from their tomb. And what's wild is Kush specifically was known. It wasn't around for a long time, and it wasn't actually on a lot of history until way later. And it was one of the biggest ancient civilizations in Africa, and they were really well known for their gold mines. They had rich gold mines, so there was history with family that was royalty, and Kush specifically had tombs with over like 80 family members in it. So, you know, just because they found the king, that means that there's 79 more bodies in there. Like, when will it be enough? Mm-hmm. Like, leave them alone. Let them be at rest. You know, it's one thing to say, hey, there's a tomb here. We found this. You know, this is what we're seeing on pottery, or this is what we're seeing on this. We think it's, you know, and just leave it. Mm-hmm. Just leave it. There's so much more of Egypt to be discovered that's under the sand, or, you know, still yet to be uncovered. But I just feel like there's a way to do it respectfully. And, you know, it's one thing too, like, there's this one archaeologist, Egyptologist, his name is Professor Zahi Hawass, and he's someone that I grew up watching on National Geographic. when I was really diving deep into ancient Egyptian civilization and writing hieroglyphics. This is like at 11. I was a weird kid. But Zahi Hawass, very much said the same thing. And he excavated a lot of tombs, and there's a time and place for that. And I think it's a little bit different when you're working with someone that is of the area, and the ethnicity is not the right word, but of the same culture.
Lineage,
Yeah. Because there is that line of respect there and honoring it and wanting to preserve it. I think that intention is really good. But when you're removing bodies, no. That's just, I just don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all.
Well, it's strange. Really I was even thinking about like current times. Let's talk about current times. Like, who do we put on a pedestal? Not even royalty at this point. It's like Marilyn Monroe. Can you imagine 100 years from now, they're going to go, or maybe 1,000 years from now, they're like, oh, here's Marilyn Monroe's grave. We're going to excavate her and pull out her bones. And it's just like, wow, what are we doing here? Like, why are we doing this? You're right. I get that we need to understand the history, but it is strange to me that it's to the point where and then in this series that Josh Gates is doing, apparently they were buried with money to basically help them travel to the other side. Gold, big gold coins. We put gold coins on their eyes, right? There were specific things that they did. They were also sometimes, for Egypt, buried with a lot of dead cats because cats would protect them in the afterlife. This one, they were buried with specific dolls, and they were wrapped in gold, and they were essentially the guardians. And you see that they're pulling out these, they found some of these golden dolls, and I'm like, oh my God. And they're being removed. I'm like, I'm not saying that person's not protected now in the other life, but what if that happens? What if that really was a part of their belief? It's strange to me that we're okay with being like, okay, 3,000, 4,000, 10,000 years ago, you were supposed to be buried with this to protect you. But now that I'm excavating you, I'm going to remove it because you've been dead long enough that you don't need to be protected anymore, essentially, right?
It's the same thing with the Titanic. It happened. You know what I mean? Like, it's there. We know that there are tombs there. When will it be enough? Mm-hmm. When will it be enough? For sure. And it's wild to me that this is still a thing. Mm-hmm. And what's crazier is when you're thinking about taking things out of tombs or you're excavating a site, you're doing more damage taking it and pulling it out and putting it in the sun than just leaving it where it was.
Well, it was even more than that when I was watching these episodes, because once again, it was like a 2 or 3 part series. I can't remember. But so they would get these buckets of whatever was in it, full of sediment and like hopefully treasure, essentially, is what they're looking for, right? They would get the buckets out, they'd deliver them to this like tent, and you can watch the episode. Now there's like 10 people sitting in the tent. There's like 10 people in the tent, and they're passing these things through the tent, washing them off. So now it's been touched by all these people, and I'm like, and then Josh comes in, he ends up holding this like clay pottery item that's like 10,000 years old. And I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, oh my God. It's just, so once again, even once it's excavated, I feel like it's still not safe, even at that point.
It's not. It's touched by many hands.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot, what's crazy though too is when you think of, I can't remember in Britain where the big famous museum is, where they have a lot of Egyptian artifact there. There's a museum of Cairo, and then there's one in Britain as well, Great Britain. But a lot of these pieces that you're seeing are either replicated to put in a museum because of how badly damaged they are, mm-hmm. or not seen at all because they need to be preserved.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, then just leave it where it was. Mm-hmm. Like, you have a statue of Horus that you've seen 10,000 times. Leave it. Like,
I remember even being little, and there would be like mummy, they would bring mummies in town for like, oh, we're going, my school is going to the Natural History Museum to see the mummy, exhibit, whatever. And I remember being like, 8, 10 years old, being like, why are we looking at dead bodies and we have them on display? Like, I just remember thinking it was so strange. Similar to like the bodies artifact that they have. You've seen that where they take the bodies and they turn them in, they turn into muscular, and like they think those are people from human trafficking, and they've been victims of human trafficking that didn't even like want their body preserved. Once again, I get it that you're like doing it from a science perspective, but I don't know. I don't understand why we need to see a body stripped down. This, once again, all of this goes back to the fact that mankind is still obsessed with death and obsessed with strange things, to the point where why do we not think that it's strange to see a bunch of like the body exhibit in muscle form? Why is that not strange to us?
Yeah.
Why are we okay with paying $20 to go see the bodies exhibit of people? These were actual human beings at one point that have now been stripped down to eyeballs and a-holes. You know what I'm saying?
That's the reason. Is money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mummies. And I mean, when I was 15, my family knew I was like a freak for ancient Egypt, and my aunt was at the time a flight attendant with United Airlines and took me on a day trip to Chicago to go and see the Tutankhamun exhibit. And while I was really grateful for that experience, we did see the actual sarcophagus and King Tut, you know, and I was a kid and didn't really understand it. That stuff's in textbooks. You know, realistically, you don't really need to see it. You don't really need to see it, but they are disrespecting the dead for profit and putting a tag of, oh, well, this was history. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, with how media goes nowadays and how folks lie about things so much, they could mark anything and call it history and make a buck off of it. You know, and at that point, it's like, are you really in it for the history? That's why I'm a huge believer in Professor Zahi Hawass, who's still around and he's still excavating. You know, leave the excavation to the locals, to the Egyptians. I'm telling you, it's when the white folk come in that it makes you wonder. And I'm not saying all of them are bad, because there are some that do have a really good you know, track record, and they're very respectful, and they live in the culture or the world of, you know, Egypt, that part of the world, and it's fine. But there's a lot that are not, and it just makes me really upset. Really, really upset.
Yeah, it is strange. It is. It gave me a strange feeling when and I, you know, of course, Josh is going to walk away and say, this was fascinating to be able to be a part of this, you know, essentially a tomb that was preserved underwater, under the Nile. Yeah, I get it, but it's also, like you said, just disrespect. It gives me a strange feeling that I can't even put into words. I just find it strange. I don't know. I guess is that someone that is a archaeologist that wants to be involved like that? Do they think differently? I don't know. I don't feel like I need to go, you know, if there was a piece of Jesus Christ left behind and they found his bones, I don't feel like I personally need to go hold those bones in my hand, is what I'm sort of saying.
No. I mean, you know, here's an example of, you know, ancestry, right? When you think of ancestry, for me, I've been diving into my Hispanic ancestry because I'm half Mexican. My abuela's side of the family, more specifically, has more transcripts on her side, and we were Iberian, so we were from Spain. And I would absolutely love to have the opportunity to go to Spain as someone who is of Spaniard descent, you know, Latinx descent, to see where my ancestors were and to get to know their culture and to read up on that history. Like, you can do those things without needing to touch the object or without needing to go, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean about the Egyptians and Zahi Hawass and other Egyptian, you know, archaeologists. Like, let them honor and venerate their ancestry or their culture and you know, all of that. But some of them still do need to take them. And unfortunately, the problem isn't the archaeologists, it's the government. Because Egypt specifically is really all hands in when it comes to these excavations, and a lot of the times there's a clause that states that if they find a body or if they find XYZ, they need to report it immediately to their government, and they're going to take it and excavate it and bring it to the museum. So it's not even necessarily these archaeologists, but they go into it knowing that that's what the outcome's going to be, even if that's not necessarily what they believe in. And a lot of the times too, they'll get denied for their permits to go to these places, or if they believe that something is in a specific area, they have to do a whole pitch, they have to submit it to the government, and sometimes it takes years to get it approved.
Wow.
So I don't know, it's just a very interesting process that just goes to show you the government is the problem. They're trying to make a quick buck off of their culture, off of their ancestry, and it's kind of disgusting, honestly, because then you're not, the only people that are genuinely respecting it are the archaeologists. to some extent.
And even then you can get corruption.
Oh, yes. I mean, there can be corruption in anything. It's so flawed now. There's no line delineating who was good with good intent and who was with bad.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, they're also getting paid too.
Yep.
So, that's why you see in those movies all the time, like the Mummy movie. They go to research things, or they go to these places to have the travel and the experience and go see it. And then the government's trailing behind, trying to get, steal things from them.
The Mummy ride in Universal.
Oh my gosh. I forgot about that, so please.
Woo! If you are a daredevil, you should go on the Mummy ride in Universal.
Can we do it again, though?
Let me know when your soul leaves your body.
I feel like now that we're prepared, it would be different.
Oh, really? Is that what you think? Because I had no reaction. I was just already dead. I was already dead.
That picture, I'm pretty sure we both still have the picture of that.
Oh.
I think I put that in my memory box.
If people only knew the whole story.
I'm pretty sure I blacked out. Like right at the tipping point.
Oh my god. And I was like,
it
huh?
felt like it was never gonna stop.
Huh? What's going on? I'm still here.
You're like and me and my eyes are so closed, I'm like, oh my god.
That's how we just deal with life. You know what I mean? That's trauma. When life happens, Kat goes, ugh. When life happens, I'm like, I'm gone. I've already left my body.
Our spirit team is like, come on, guys.
We tried to get you to incarnate in 2 separate sides of the United States, and you still found each other.
Literally.
Oh.
Yeah, that's all I had on that. It's hard. It's hard to find that line of respect, but there is such an interest in the history of it.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's the same thing with the Titanic. Like, I can have an interest in the history without going there.
Yeah, I don't need to go. Yeah, I'm indigenous, and my family was on the Trail of Tears, and that's a lot of trauma. Do you think I want to go walk the Trail of Tears when my ancestors barely survived that, and I'm on the registry? Like, no, that's horrible. You know what I mean? Like, and by the way, this is going to sound terrible, but the Trail of Tears goes from Georgia to Oklahoma, which is my indigenous family for Cherokee. And I don't think those areas are preserved, and they probably should be after what happened on them. So people are still walking those roads, not realizing people were freaking starving and dehydrated and dying on the street. You know what I mean? Like, but
horrible.
Once again, it's crazy how different cultures are treated, some with respect and worshipped, like Egypt, and with indigenous, not. You know what I mean? Like, oh.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
I mean, they just turned down something with Navajo Nation, was begging the government to follow through with the treaty that was signed in 1881 or whenever it was. And they need water. They need water access. And the United States government said, screw your treaty. We're not giving you water. That just happened a week ago.
Wow. That's messed up. It's the same in Mexico with indigenous folk in Mexico. Same thing. It's messed up.
If I was a millionaire, I would be putting water in there so fast, you know what I mean? But once again, that just depends on if you're a good millionaire or if you want to go on a Titanic. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to go implode yourself.
Do not go on Carnival, okay? Do not.
Second, he would have pulled out the remote control. I'd be like, okay, this is sketch. This is sketch, and I'm out. Peace. I'll swim back to shore.
Is this a simulation? I really hope so. Because... I almost wonder if they saw it and were like, we need to go back up. And they were telling him we need to go back up.
They said from the way that the blast happened and from the last audio that was on the receiving end that they've turned those files over, essentially he was descending too fast and couldn't control it. Couldn't control the descent.
That's also another thing that really rubbed me the wrong way was that they knew that it had imploded based off of the audio and they were withholding it.
Yeah. Well, no, that was the military had heard the implosion.
I know.
And they didn't release it. Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know.
Up.
But once again, I don't trust the government in general. I mean, and I'm saying this coming from someone who was a previous Army wife. Okay. Mm-hmm. And even my ex who was in the military doesn't trust the military and the government. So I feel like that just says enough right there. You know what I'm saying?
It does say enough.
That says enough. He's like, his famous quote is, I don't drink that Kool-Aid no mo. You know what I'm saying?
True.
So, all right. Now you wanted to say, you had another one about the John the Baptist. You wanted to talk about that briefly?
Oh, yeah. So, okay. There was a two-part investigation here. Let me go down here. So he also ended up going to, he brought researchers to an area where they claim they found Bethsaida, which was really incredibly powerful because it was essentially.
Was this the
lost
archaeologist
city.
you were talking about?
This is Josh Gates. This was
Oh,
Josh
Josh Gates.
Gates.
Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't know
and
that.
yeah. So Bethsaida is what was known as the last missing city of the gospel of Christ, gospel of Jesus, to where he said that he performed miracles. So Bethsaida specifically was in a city east of the Jordan River into a desert place. And it was a place that Jesus visited after his famed feeding of the 5,000 loaves and fish, where he fed all those people off of 5 loaves and 2 fish, like thousands and thousands of people. And there's a Bible verse specifically on Luke chapter 9, verse 10, that says, "On their return, the apostles told Jesus all they had done. He took them with him and withdrew privately to a city called Bethsaida." Okay, and that's really the only time that Bethsaida was mentioned in it. And Bethsaida is where the fish and loaves situation happened. Now, what's interesting is in 2022, an archaeological team uncovered this mosaic found in Bethsaida that was over 1,500 years old, containing an inscription that invoked St. Peter as the chief and commander of the heavenly apostles, and it mentions a donor named Constantine, a servant of Christ. And Constantine was mentioned a lot within the Bible. So there's that. And then there's also a theory that Jesus withdrew to Bethsaida, which is why this is such a prominent area, when he heard of the murder of John the Baptist by King Herod. Essentially, what happened with John the Baptist, if you don't know, is John the Baptist was actually having visions of Jesus's coming. He was gifted with foresight. And this is my Sunday school preaching as a pagan, so this is the only time this is happening.
Enjoy it.
So enjoy it, yeah. So John the Baptist was blessed with the gift of foresight and saw visions of Christ coming, and then Christ was born. There's a chapter from Matthew chapter 3, verse 13 through 17 that says, "Jesus came to John the Baptist while he was baptizing people in the river Jordan. John the Baptist tried to make him change his mind, but Jesus answered, 'In this way we will do all that God requires.'" So John the Baptist baptized Jesus. And John was known as a crazy person, essentially. He didn't shower, he was homeless, he smelled, he ate locusts, like he was a weird dude.
Mood.
But he had this
Sounds like
gift,
my people.
and literally same. So within this verse it says, "As soon as Jesus was baptized, he came up out of the water, heaven was open, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and alighted on him. Then a voice said from heaven, 'This is my own dear son with whom I am pleased.'" So he was pleased that John the Baptist baptized Jesus. After this happened, a lot of buzz came around because obviously King Herod at this time was trying to find Jesus. This was the whole point of the 3 magi. They actually weren't there to give gifts to Jesus. They were there to figure out where he was so Herod could kill him, which is really like a hard twist on all the pretty nativities that you see.
Typical humans wanting to kill each other.
Yeah, and mind you, that the magi, if you're not familiar, were astrologers. So they followed the North Star, and that's where they knew that Jesus would be. Now, what's interesting is that when they got there, they kind of had known what was up. They weren't really a huge fan of King Herod anyway. So they went back home and never went to Herod and just said that they never found him, even though they did know where he was. So Herod was like adamant on finding Jesus at that time. And Herod feared, after hearing the buzz, that he baptized Jesus, that he might have an influence to start a rebellion against Herod, which everybody already hated the guy anyway, so that was going to be a given no matter what. And they beheaded John the Baptist, and they served his head on a plate to Herod.
Wow.
And that's it. So that's why Bethsaida is really prominent, because that's where Jesus mourned after hearing that he was beheaded on Jesus' behalf.
And that's in Cambodia, where Josh wanted to try to find this temple, essentially.
Yes.
Wow.
Very, very small stretch of land, but there was a lot of history there. And I was really interested in that whole thing, because I have not seen Bethsaida mentioned since I was like young.
Right.
Like, you know, because it was always discussed, but it was never really there. It was just known as the last missing city of the Gospels. And, you know, they have some brief verses on it, but no one really knew where it was. So the fact that they found that mosaic kind of going closely with, you know, everything that was mentioned in Bible verse and with John the Baptist and all of that, it really put the pieces together. And I was like, ooh, this is interesting.
Yeah, that isn't. See, now that I would really be more interested in watching Josh rather than going in and grave robbing these old ass mummies.
Yeah. No, same.
But that's okay. Whatever. You know, sometimes you gotta steal some gold from a mummy. It's fine.
Yeah, I guess.
Crazy. Now, one of the reasons that tied me into being fascinated with Josh going to these temples that were sunken was two things. One, they say that there is, well, not they say, this is Plato, right? Plato, Socrates had written about Atlantis, which of course I'm obsessed with Atlantis. And they claim that there is, underneath the Great Sphinx of Giza, is that how you pronounce it? Giza?
Giza.
So yeah, I wanted to make sure you were here. Yeah, Giza.
Wait, let me see.
Buried
yep,
yeah. That there's possibly an ancient library that hasn't been found called the Hall of Records. They don't know if it's there or not. It still hasn't been found. But they say that's one of the areas where the Atlantean records resides, which is why we don't know anything about Atlantis and why it's claimed to be a hoax or a conspiracy, because it's basically been buried, you know, from millions or thousands of years being under the sand. They're also saying that there is another one that possibly got sunk in the Nile River. And I think it was either Plato or Socrates claimed to actually visit that particular library, but it's now underwater. And I'm talking with, like, you know, anacondas and shit. So I don't know if we're going to actually find that one. And I don't know, even if you found it, if anything would be, it's probably turned to mush and sediment, you know, thousands of years later. But this library that's under the Sphinx is called the Hall of Records, and that's where they say everything that were even psychic readings and psychic records are literally held under there. But then there's another phenomenon. They say that it might be a supernatural phenomenon. It's changed dimensions, which I thought that was kind of fascinating. And that it's still there. We just can't access it because it's in another dimension because of how strong and potent Atlanteans were.
Yeah, I think it's in the pyramids of Giza, to be totally honest. And it's really interesting here that they have a quote. It says, what these people carried were records of the movement of stars and constellations. Yeah. And what most people don't realize, and that Krystal and I have talked about before, is that ancient Egypt and Atlantis actually had a lot of history.
Yeah.
Because Atlantis was near the Nile.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't think that there's any coincidence that Egypt was so prominent and ahead of its time in the ancient world. Because of that reason. I mean, there's nothing really mentioning it verbatim, but there's a lot of transcripts and, you know, things written in passing that people have found corresponding to Egypt and Atlantis. But the reason why I think it might be in the Pyramid of Giza is because of the theory of the pyramids being portals.
Yes.
Like pointed portals. And there's like water at the bottom of the Giza, Pyramid of Giza, that essentially created some type of reaction within the pyramid. I can't remember exactly. We talked about it once before.
Yeah, it was like it's literally magic. You had to meditate or something, and then it takes you into another dimension.
Yep, and it was. I think that dimension is where it's at.
Where all the records are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm fascinated with, which is why I think Kat and I set each other off so perfectly and balanced, because she has all this knowledge and even past history through Egyptian stuff. And with Atlanteans, they say that they were ran by crystals, which my name is Krystal. I don't know how much more perfect that could be. And they basically ruled everything by astrology and star signs. And I can read a star chart, like, I can read it, which is so weird because I feel like I didn't even have to, like, really teach myself or learn it. It was like I just knew this knowledge. It was so weird. And I think that that's also part of the Atlantean, is just the stars and the constellations definitely were what ruled them. And where Kat was more of like the witchy poo on the Egyptian side, which I feel like is just like perfect for both of us. It's, even right now, if you look at our screens, my side looks like blue and purple Atlantean, and Kat looks very warm and homey, like Egyptian. Yes, exactly.
I know.
So creepy.
So, like, like High Priestess Egypt, very gold and greens and jade, and yeah, it's so minus the yarn.
The yarn, of course. Don't forget the yarn.
Take care of. Really bad, yeah.
Don't forget the yarn.
So
and the last thing I wanted to talk about was, it's interesting because a long time ago, Kat and I think it was like a year or more ago, we talked about, it had just come out with information that Atlantis might be at the Eye of the Sahara, which is in Africa. And now it's becoming a thing. Now it's becoming a thing. And I'm pissed because I'm like, I talked about this a long time ago and nobody cared about it. And now it's becoming a thing. But essentially it's the Eye of Sahara, which is something that astronauts actually use to like find the continents, because the Eye of Sahara is so massively large. It's a phenomenon. They don't understand what it is. There's only been a few people that have actually accessed the Eye of the Sahara because it's very hard to get to. There's no civilizations around it. It's literally in the middle of the Saharan desert. So like you can't find a water source. So you really have to get to it essentially by plane or helicopter. And like how many pilots are going to be like, oh yeah, let's fly to the Saharan desert. You know what I mean? But the people that have touched down in this area do strongly believe. And I even saw Joe Rogan reporting on this. And I was like, why did it take till now for finally people to listen? But people that have actually accessed it. So it's this perfect circle, which would have looked exactly the way that, was said Atlantis looked like. And if you go down there and look at the structure by foot, which by the way, not many people have accessed, there are elephant tooths and elephant-like bones everywhere. And it was said that Atlanteans used elephants as like a spiritual creature protector. They were very magical. And they've found like essentially elephant graveyards all over the place. So they think what happened was in this Saharan desert, it wasn't always a desert before. It was, very much surrounded by water at one point. And then a tsunami came, wiped out the Atlanteans. It's interesting. I've even done a little bit more research on this where Dolores Cannon talks about doing past life regression with Atlanteans. And it's said that even extraterrestrials say that Atlanteans were way too powerful and way too ahead of their time via crystals, meditation, teletransportation. Like they could literally transport into different areas of dimensions, and also using like the star signs, constellations, astrology. They were too powerful so that the creators, whoever you believe that is, if you want to say it's God or not, basically came in and took it out with a tsunami. And which is where I swear to Jesus, I had a past life where I drowned. I'm not even kidding. And now it's become the Saharan desert. It's literally nothing there. Nothing's there now.
It's eerie. That's eerie. I mean, who's to say it's not a portal to their civilization, though? What if it's still around?
I want to go, but I don't know how I'm going to catch a flight there. You know what I'm saying? You can't just book a flight.
Right in the middle of the eye. Just take a dive.
I need to get back to my home. That, or I'm going to have, like, past life trauma and be like, oh, my God, I remember dying here. Like, shit. Why are we laughing? It's so bad.
Because it's sick.
It's so bad. So yeah, that's really the end of our stream. But I wanted to talk about all that again because I think it ties in perfectly together. And I'm so happy that people are finally paying attention, that they think the Eye of the Sahara is Atlantis, because I think it is.
Yeah, I agree. And I do think the Great Pyramid is a portal to somewhere.
I want to
Absolutely.
See Kat and I both. Kat's like, I'll go with you to Atlantis if you go with me to Egypt. And we're like, okay, but we're really scared, but we're gonna go anyway.
I know.
Well,
the energy there. It's just it's an energy thing. It's so ancient.
Mm-hmm.
It's so ancient. It has to carry its own energy frequency.
I love it.
That's beyond ours.
I'm obsessed.
Beyond ours.
I'm obsessed. I love all of this stuff. So what are the lessons from today's podcast? Don't get in a sketch-ass submarine that is being manufactured and directed using a PS4 controller. There's one.
Mm-hmm.
2.
Get an Xbox One.
Make sure it's don't get the off-brand. Really.
Just kidding.
Aliens and UFOs exist. Just come to Vegas for like 2 weeks and stay, and you'll be convinced once you're gone. And don't grave rob
dead bodies.
Yeah, don't grave rob.
Yeah.
Don't be Ed Gein. Let's not be Ed Gein.
And don't Google it, because I just did it for you.
Don't Google it. Don't. Bad idea.
I'm like, are you kidding me? Great. Now that's on my Google search.
Great.
Who made belts out of skin?
Ed Gein.
Why am I a mess?
It's so bad. Well, welcome back. Yeah, Kat's back. She's going to be here hopefully every other week is the plan, if that's what she wants. And please stop messaging me these 2 things. 1, did Kat quit?
I need to just make a story about it. I think I just need to make a story about it.
Please stop, because it's getting on my nerves. And 2, please stop asking me if I quit paranormal. I wish you Kat's probably the only one on this planet that understands how passionate I am about ghost hunting. Even her. Do you think both of our ultimate goals isn't to get Ghost Girl Diaries signed? Do you know what a just blessing from baby Jesus and black magic it would be for us to be on the road filming constantly and that was our only job? That is the absolute goal. 100%. Please stop asking me if I'm quitting it. I'm at the point where I want to block people, but I know they're fans, so I'm like, don't block. Like, don't block.
It's like, we've got to live our life too. We need to live and survive as humans.
You mean pay bills? You mean like have rent?
Yeah. And work. And it was a very long 4 year. I mean, it's longer for you, but for me, it'll be 5 years this month that I've been with GGD. But we were in constant post negotiation, et cetera, getting the other pilot done, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting.
Well, that's why I really believe that I've put it out there. And I've communicated to my spirit guides. I have done everything I can on this plane to get it signed. Now I need your help, and I need a blessing in and look, it's already happening. I got that company that says that they're going to pay for all of our travel for hotel stay anywhere in the United States. So I'm already getting these little, it's like a puzzle, right? I'm just waiting for all the puzzle pieces to come in. I really do believe that when you put it out there, it will come back to you, and you just have to be patient. And that doesn't mean I'm quitting, but I still have to function. I still have to keep going. So does Kat. And once that blessing comes in, bitch, you better know that we're going to be out on the haunted road doing the thing.
See you on TV. Then you won't be asking. But we're fine. Seriously.
And then I'm going to be like, fine. Stop saying.
I got a rabbit. Okay, that's been a whirlwind.
Yeah, you want to talk about that? How is it going? Kat got a rabbit from a circus. Essentially, it was a rescue.
He's staring at me dead in the eye.
It's a rare rabbit. It's a rare species.
Mm-hmm.
And
I always end up with those. Lily was too.
And he had some trauma from his circus life that she had to work through.
He was rescued from the circus. He's 2. His breed is what's called an blanc. Termond, that's what it's called. Very specific. It's a crossbreed between a New Zealand white and a Flemish giant, which if you haven't Google a Flemish giant. Don't Google skin belts, but Google a Flemish giant.
Don't Google Egging. Yeah.
Don't do that either. Don't do that. But yeah, he is, I keep calling him her because Lily, my bearded dragon that passed, was a she. He's 2 and about 8 pounds. It's a big rabbit. And he's my baby boy. So it's been an adjustment, though. Having an animal this size after having a dragon this big, So.
And I love Palm. He's so cute. He's so cute.
Palm. I know. I was going to change his name, but he responded to it. So I was like, man. He's litter box trained. He's so sweet. For a male rabbit, he's not aggressive at all. He's a sweet, sweet little bun. I'm a bun mom.
So cute. I know. Happy. I keep saying when we're on FaceTime, I'm like, Palm, I'm going to smush your face when I see you.
He's so cute.
He's so cute. Oh, my God. Well, welcome back to the podcast. Please don't effing message me and ask me if Kat's quitting, because I am so over it at this point, honestly. Kat and I talk 10 times a day, and when you guys ask me if she quit, I'm like, no, I just talked to her 5 minutes ago, actually.
Literally. We have actual lives outside of this that we don't put on social media constantly.
No, my shit's private.
We live on opposite sides of the U.S. Like, we talk every single day, but it's just life, We had to make some decisions, and we're not stopping anything. We're just rearranging priority right now.
Yep.
And that's okay.
And I just chose to not sleep with producers to get it signed, finally, is really where it came from, so...
Yeah.
Damn me. Yep. Maybe I should just do it real quick and get it over with.
No, the long way is the best way because, it equals longevity. Always.
I just don't want to be a hoe anymore. No, I never was. I never was.
No para-hose, please. We're not doing that today.
Yeah, no, I'm tired. I just
That's
need a
a
break.
podcast for another day.
Don't implode in freaking submarines. Like, there's some lessons that can be learned here. This is a very valuable podcast, people, okay?
Yeah.
Just pay attention.
Take some life lessons from this. Okay.
Sick. This is very important. God.
It is.
Oh my God. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you, Kat, for being here. This will be uploaded on YouTube, on my Krystal Leandra YouTube. And wow, my last podcast was the most downloaded podcast that I've had, like, in history. And I'm shocked because I was by myself. And I was so nervous. So I was like, I don't know if people are going to like this. I don't know what I'm doing. And it was like, and the messages I got, like, I got people saying that I motivated them to heal and go through shadow work. And I'm like, oh my God, like, wow, like my word counts. So I since you guys responded so well to that, I'm really upset I didn't get that podcast up last week, but that's okay. We'll do that again. And yeah, it's just really going to be me talking about how to be a better human. Because I feel like we need that sometimes. You know what I mean?
We do.
Love you guys so much. Kat's fine. She's here. She's singing Sound of Music. We're good to go. Okay.
The hills are alive.
The hills are absolutely alive. And Hitler's gone. Thank God. Oh, that's random.
Thank God.
Nostradamus, there's a prediction that he came up with for 2024 that says that the Antichrist will rise in 2024.
Yeah, no.
So there's 3 antichrists, which is one was Napoleon, the second one was Hitler, and he says the third is yet to come, and it's going to be in the Middle East. So I'm just saying, interesting, that's all. Just keep your ears and your eyes peeled, you know what I'm saying? Apparently he's going to be the worst of all, apparently, according to Nostradamus.
That's messed up. That's messed up.
Interesting. So anyway.
I believe it.
Yeah, next year. I hate everybody. Why? I don't like, and that's what's crazy. Like, I'm ready to find the good in the planet. You know what I mean? Like, I want to travel. I want to see the world. I want to see beautiful things, but not the Titanic. Like, I want to go to, Italy. I want to see pretty things. I want to go to Ireland. Like, I want to see pretty things and, like, enjoy what the planet has to offer. But then you have, like, this darkness and war and hate and crime and everyone's broke and everybody's homeless in Los Angeles. And I'm just like, we've got to take control back of this so that we're not sad humans anymore, because I'm just done. I don't want sad humans anymore. Let's be happy humans. If we're here on this, if we incarnated on this shipboat together, let's make it happy, okay? God! Start with, don't go to the bottom of the sea. Start there.
Yeah, don't. Abort mission.
Nothing down there that you need, okay? Just Google it. Watch some documentaries or some shit.
Google it. Yeah, do that.
And on that note, I love you guys. Make sure you download the podcast. Make sure you support us. Make sure you like, comment, share, follow, subscribe. It will help us grow. And I love you guys. We will catch you guys next time. Thanks, guys. Bye. Back from the dead.